welcome to Superbat Rugby League. We're going to have a little talk about last year's team of the year, arguably Salford. Just come from nowhere to get to the grand final. Man of Steel, Jackson Hastings. We're looking a little bit towards next season now for them. I mean, it's in and out door. I mean, revolving doors crazy this year. The likes of the outs of Jake Bibby, Louis went to Leeds. Jackson Hastings, obviously the Man of Steel, gone. Josh Wood, Josh Jones, probably we said before, probably the most improved player in the whole of Super League last year. Is going to Hull. George Griffin, Ben Nakatawa, Logan Tompkins. Go on.
Nakuba
Ben Nakuba
Sorry,
White.
I didn't want to pick you up on it.
Ben Nakuba White, Logan Tompkins, Davil Olfart and Daniel Murray, all out, and some real big names there. Obviously the Man of Steel stands out. Have they replaced these, do you think, Trev?
To be honest, you can't replace a Jackson Hastings. He's class. They've gone out and got players and they've brought new players in. But you can't replace a Jackson Hastings. He's a class player. With the other players, they've gone out and got new players again, but the difference is this time around they've got to start from fresh again and build up the combinations, build up the culture again, and get them all as one. So they're starting at the very bottom again. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, there does look a lot of like for like. So you've got Bibby for Sargentson. I mean, that looks pretty much a straight swap. And I've mentioned before, Sargentson. I mean, I think he's much maligned at Wigan, but if you look at his record there, so, I mean, it's second to none. And probably 2016 grand final, probably the best player on the pitch, playing it out of position.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more you want to pick out from there that are coming into Salford?
Well, like I said, I think there is a fair few that, other than I think Hastings is the only one that they've. I say struggle to replace. They've brought in Kevin Brown and Chris Atkin, who are both, again, good players on the day, but they're not Jackson Hastings. Whereas I think the other players they've lost, they have adequately replaced. Right. I think we mentioned Josh Jones, who has been superb for them this year. His performances have earned him a Great Britain call-up. And he's been one of the real standouts of their sort of success story. He's going to Hull next year, but at the same time they brought in Luke Yates, who was one of the standouts at London. Big back rower. I think he was the second top tackler in the league, which from Luke, it's usually the hookers that we see in that, but he's a loose forward back rower. Again, a cracking defensive player, a really good go forward man. Good offloader and stuff like that.
Another good player they've brought in is Paulie.
Yeah.
Big body.
Jury's out a bit on him. I think the jury's always been out on Paulie, hasn't he? Obviously he's big. He carries well, but. So you like him, yeah?
Yeah, I quite like him. I remember watching him come through the juniors and the under-20s back home, and he made his debut in the NRL as a young person. Obviously, he didn't live up to the hype that was expected of him, but at the same time, he's had some injuries and all that as well. But still, he's a big body, and on his day, he will still do a good job for a team that he plays for.
See, I think one thing you can probably pick out is that a fair few of the players they brought in are sort of the ones that Ian Watson will be good as a coach.
Yeah.
They'll test him as a coach. We've seen it before that he's done. I think it's been much talked about. I think Phil Clark made comments comparing Salford's players to championship level, which was completely out of order, very harsh. But at the same time, if you take what is, I think what he was sort of inferring was the fact that these are players who you wouldn't typically associate with being league winners. And so the story itself was brilliant. Yeah, a lot of them have been sort of kicked to the curb in a sense. There've been players that have just been sort of outcasts at clubs, and that's what they built the story off. And you've got a few more that have come in now. You've got James Greenwood from Hull KR, who, again, injuries have plagued his time there. Chris Atkin, who's not been playing at KR as well. Sargentson, who's been perhaps a little bit out of favour at Wigan. There's a fair few players there who fit the mould of what Salford seem to be about, is that players that deserve the chances they've perhaps not been getting at their clubs. And I think they'll be alright next year, Salford.
Salford sort of remind me at the moment what Melbourne Storm used to. So Melbourne used to get the players, and from day dot when Melbourne first came into the competition, they were getting players that they were first team players, but they weren't regulars.
Yeah.
And that's what I sort of feel, even though they're, like Craig Bellamy's been there now since 2003. But go back to when Chris Anderson was there as head coach at the beginning. It's like they build around, we'll get these players together and making them play as a unit. And I see that's what Salford's Salford reminded about, okay, well, these players are struggling, but let's get them together.
Well, that's it. Their style is built on culture
Yeah.
and built on working for each other. And Watson made that point a lot of last season.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing, there's a lot of players there, but if he can get them all, I think there's 10 new signings in total, if he can get them all to buy into the culture of the club and buy into what he preaches, then, I don't think there's any reason why perhaps they can't. Maybe not so much recreate the heroics of the season just gone,
let's see what
but be up there fighting still, be up there near the top.
And as I said, like the other week when we were previewing the grand final, like poor Rowley,
Tremendous. The relationship between the two of them seems to really work.
That's right, and even at grand final at half time before Watson went in, Rowley was talking to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And how often do you ever see that happen?
Yeah.
He was giving his advice like that. Normally, when you got the director and the coach, normally they stay away from each other.
Yeah.
But it was like they were working together really well. And Rowley, even though he's in that directing role and Watson's the coach, he's basically more like mentoring Watson at the same time. Because I still think Rowley's one of the best minds in the game.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a tremendous record at Lee. I think they're record-breaking run. They went on not losing games, albeit in the league below. But I mean, to keep teams focused, to keep winning games. I mean, any team can lose a game. To keep winning week after week, doesn't matter who you're playing. Your squad can have a couple of down weeks. So to keep them up, you miles clear in the league. To keep the keep them focused. Not to drop the confidence. Tremendous job. Are they done now, recruitment wise? Any other rumours?
There's a couple that I think it was League Express again reported that they may be looking at Jimmy Kindhorst, who Hull KR have said is free to go out on loan.
Okay.
So again, another big recruit for their backline. Bit of depth, quality player, and if they can get him on loan for a season, really cheap option.
As well,
good option,
really experienced in Super League.
And Sebastian Ikehifo as well from Huddersfield is the other one that's been rumoured. Big bustling prop that again could add some real punch to their front line. So
it's just going to be interesting to see on how they do react. Obviously, how they finished this season was pretty good. Obviously, they went down in the decider. They were outclassed by one of the best teams that ever played.
Not the only team now. Not the only team outclassed by Saints, though.
Yeah, that's right. And Saints was just with what they've done this year, is one of the best teams of all time. They'll go down as. But end of the day, it'll be great to see how Salford bounce back, and it's the bounce back factor.
It will. I think the one area where again there'll be a lot of pressure is the halves, like we've mentioned. With Hastings going, the impact he had on that squad and his connections with the likes of Lollahea, Joey Lussick. I mean, you see Lollahea last year. He, working alongside Hastings, basically revamped his Super League career last year.
It did.
He was not the most popular among Leeds fans when he was there. Made the move to Salford, and he's a grand final player.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of pressure went off him then, I think.
It did, yeah. It took a lot of pressure off, and it'll be interesting to see if Kevin Brown or Chris Atkin, whoever Watson chooses to start with, can do the same.
Would you go?
I think he'll go. I would probably go with Brown just for the experience.
Yes, yeah.
I'd say, but I think Atkin is a solid option to have as a backup.
Yeah, any other names that we've missed out? I think Ryan Lannon, but we'll not mention him. Another one going there. So it's, I think really careful with Super League. I mean, there was a time 6-7 weeks towards the end of the season when Salford were in a bit of a bad run, and they were only 6 to 8 points off the bottom, off the bottom 3 or 4. So I think people think with the players that are losing, that there's some that might hint they might struggle a little bit. So you guys think that they're going to do okay?
Well, like I said, as you said, right, there was about 6 or 7 weeks before the finals. They were in a position where they could have been relegated, but who came in around that time?
Yeah.
Who came in around that time? Who came in around that time, and they just went from here to there, leaps and bounds. And I believe with Rowley looking over things again, working with Watson, I believe I'm not going to expect them to go on and make another grand final, but they're going to worry teams more so this year instead of just we've got Salford, we'll just rock up and hopefully get the 2 points.
Likewise, I think it'll be very, very hard to predict.
Yeah,
it could go one of 2 ways. Again, though, I think it'll all sort of sit on how the halves do. That's what I think it'll all rely on.
But do you think the acquisition of Rowley could be as important as losing the likes of Hayes? Do you think that, as opposed to the players that are coming in, do you think the fact that the coaches that's where the difference could be? Yeah,
definitely. Because in the day, the coaches are the one who got to lay the platform, set the standard, and with the players coming in, if Rowley doesn't think that or watching doesn't think that the players are up to standard, it's going to be see you later.
So like I said, so I'll put you both
It's a bit like Moneyball.
yeah. So I'll put you both on the spot then. Would you say, are we looking Salford to be up around the playoffs or in the bottom or down in the bottom half?
As I said, I'll probably have them in between like the top 5 and 8th
Okay.
spot. Like, you know, they'll push.
So they'll be there or thereabouts, yeah?
Yeah,
thereabouts.
I think they'll be between 4th and 6th. I think it'll be that area. The last couple of playoff spots.
So the guys are quite positive again on Salford this year. I'd love to hear what you guys think, in particular Salford fans. Again, like and subscribe and leave your comments below. Cheers. See you later.